Mia Green for zone 4 up next aboard Fierro. Actually, it looks like this is a zone 10 competitor. This is Amanda Paul and Valiant for zone 10. 14-year-old Anglo-European sport horse, gelding by Calvin. Zone 10 with one 4-fault round recorded so far. Amanda returning a score of 5 from the first round. Unfortunately, runs into a little bit of trouble there at the skinny, but looking to circle right back around to it. Very difficult fence there, very narrow. And unfortunately going to dodge that next vertical at 8 as well, so unfortunate elimination there. So faults will be determined later on to add to that score, hoping to get to drop that. So certainly not the way Amanda Paul wanted her day to go here for team competition. But hopefully zone 10 can still have a favorable result here in this competition. Added benefit of having that drop score that zone 5 was not fortunate enough to have. So now we turn to Mia Green, where the Forget Me Not Farm entry Fierro. Mia had just one rail down in the first round of competition, but the zone 4 team was able to drop that score, finish on a total score of 0. So sitting in very favorable position right now on 9.28 penalties overall. Teammate Lawson Whitaker has already jumped clear in this second round, but the skinny at the Birch vertical has dropped. Looking to just keep it to the 4. Again, they do have a drop score. Flies the last, so just the 4 to add. Hopefully it can be a drop score as the team advances. So a 4 and a clear for zone 4. So for the team that sat in the lead coming into this second round of jumping, zones 1, 3, and 6. Rider competing for zone 6, Taylor Landstrom next to go aboard Eleanor. Her own 10-year-old Holsteiner mare by Connor. Recorded a 0 score in that first round. A very good personal score, contributing to the individual competition. Just 1.46 penalties overall. Very close to that current leader, Leela Diab. Really encourage out of that double combination, triple combination rather, but moves up quite nicely, covers the scope, that B element. Quite a few challenges put into this course by course designer Anderson Lima. Meant to ride like a true championship course. These medals are not just handed to these riders. They are doing everything they can to earn them. So it's another clear round. Taylor Landstrom, that's her third clear over the 2 days of competition. Second clear in team competition though, so that does bode very well for that team from zones 1, 3, and 6. They have a score of 4 and a score of 0 now to add to that score of 0 in the initial round of team competition. Could still potentially drop that 4 depending on how the remaining 2 team members jump. Taylor also setting herself up for success in that individual final to take place on Saturday. So the tone sounds for Christian Hacker from Zone 5 aboard Vincita Beau Presage, 13-year-old Selle Francais Stallion, or CSH Equestrian LLC. Recorded a 0 fault score in the first round of team action here. But already one down at the Show Plus Oxer. That's 3. Just looking to keep this score on, well, now the 8 just drops another rail. Again, all scores must count for Zone 5. Just 3 competitors, already 1 with an unfortunate elimination. Added 28 faults total to that score. They're sitting quite a ways behind the other 4 teams. But continuing nonetheless, knowing that in the sport, you never really know what's going to happen in team competition. Something could certainly happen at the top that could then put them in contention. So still trying their best. So next competitor for Zone 7. This is Avery Griffin aboard a Daring Queen, the 11-year-old Holsteiner mare by Cassini. Rode to a clear effort over the fences, just 1 on the clock in that first round. Still sits in a very favorable position individually. Just 1 to add on that personal penalty of 3.30. The name of the game in these ensuing rounds becomes all about jumping clear. Yesterday was all about speed. We saw several very fast rounds. Leila Diab ultimately taking that top spot. Jumping very stylishly through this second round. Just 1 from home to add another clear round to Zone 7. So 75.67 the time for that clear round effort. That makes it 3 clear rounds for Zone 7. So they're guaranteed a total score of 0 for the second round. That's going to put them overall on 4 to finish. So we'll see how these remaining teams shake out. We have quite a few teams with a single rail down, but unclear if they'll have to drop that score or keep that score. Gabriella Curry next to jump, representing Zone 4. Zone 4 currently sits on a clear and a 4-fault round. Gabriella aboard C Music Z, or GA Stables LLC. The 14-year-old Zangerscheid gelding by Crown Z. Giving the second round track a very forward ride. Already recorded 1 clear for her team and looking to repeat that success. Team for Zone 4 came home on 0 faults in round 1 of competition. That added to their 9.28 penalties in total, kept them on the 9.28. Hoping to do just that again in the second round. But in order to do that, both Gabriella and the 4th team member, Amy Krebs, need to jump clear so they can drop that 4-fault score, which was exactly what they did in round 1 of competition. So they've done it once, see if they can do it again. 1 from home. And unfortunately, the last is gone. That is a 4-fault score for Gabriella Curry. Still could put them in contention for a medal. Best possible score of 4 at the moment. That adds 4 onto that 9.28 for a 13.28, sitting in 4th place at this point. So getting to the tail end of this order here. Only a few more team members left to jump off, or to jump their second round. First of those is next rider for Zone 10. Zone 10 just faced an unfortunate elimination, so these scores are very important. Added pressure on these young riders to jump clear so that their scores can be as low as possible. They're now sitting on a best possible score of 4. Cameron Termino next to jump for Zone 10 aboard Adalberto Audi Scapino, 10-year-old Belgian warm-blood gelding. Cameron jumped a clear round in the first round. Helped get Zone 10 that clear slate in the first round of jumping here in this team competition. Was able to drop the 1 score of 1 rail down and 1 time fault. So ended up on the 8.32 penalties that they brought forth into this competition. That put them in 2nd place after round 1. Now on a best possible score of 4. With Zone 10 competitor Leila Diab, the anchor for that team, currently sitting in the lead individually on the 0 score, winner of yesterday's individual qualifier. So another clear round recorded for Cameron Termino, double clear here today. Adds nothing to that overall score. Right now, they're looking at a total of 12.32 as the best possible overall score. They sit in 3rd place. Third rider for Zones 1, 3, and 6, the team that returned in the lead here in the second round of competition. Riley McKesson next to go, Joyce Van Bishop. 13-year-old mare for the rider from Zone 3. Recorded 2 rails down in the first round. So returning very determined for a clear round. This team currently sitting on 1 clear and 1 4-fault round. Hoping for 2 more clears so they can drop that 4. Oh, and unfortunately the middle part of the combination goes. You could hear the vocal encouragement from the stands. Just not quite enough for this horse to cover the spread there. These horses every bit a part of these teams as much as the riders are, truly giving their all in competition. Very impressive, both horses and riders in this pre-junior division. We've seen incredible riding, incredible efforts put forth by these horses as well. So continuing on the 4. And finishes strong, 77-23, just 1 knockdown. Kept it to the 4 for Riley. So this team will have 4 to add at the end of this. One of those 4 fault rounds will be counting towards their final score, and we'll see how that final rider fares over this course. If they keep it to just the 4, if there's anything else to add, could ultimately change the results there. So quite a bit of pressure on the remaining riders. There you see our current standings. All except the final rider have jumped in this second round of team competition. Zone 7 leads the way on 10.79 penalties. Zones 1, 3, and 6 in second on 11.04. Zone 10 in third on 12.32 penalties, but that could change up because just behind is Zone 4 on just over 13 penalties. So all within 1 rail of one another. Very close competition here in Traverse City. Could be anyone's game, and we will see how it unfolds with the final rider of each team. So it looks like Savannah Embley jumping for Zone 5. So Liv Hilal. That's her ride for Jenny Booth aboard the 16-year-old Cell Francais Gelding. Faced unfortunate elimination in that first round, but now coming back looking to redeem herself. Put in a clear round to help out her team. Sport is all about putting behind you what has already happened, moving forward, not letting it affect the way you ride. Also an added benefit of these championships, if it doesn't quite go your way the first round, you do have a chance to come in and fix whatever it was. She saw elimination at fence 2, which did not pose any problems for her the second time around. Unfortunately, on the 1 rail down. Still an improvement from her first round. Balance is up for this final vertical that we've seen come down. So 4-fault round for Savannah. Zone 5 finishes on 16 faults total for this round. It's going to put them on a total penalty of 67.73. Sits in 5th place. So Kaylee Rayner next to go for Zone 7. Team that holds very promising position at the moment. As for her team's result, it does not matter how many rails down she has. She could be the drop score. She could also ride to a clear round to put herself in a very favorable position. She had 1 rail in the first round to add to her 2.06 penalties coming into that round of competition. For herself, of course, she would love to jump clear, have a very strong result individually. For her team, though, they're already on a completely clean slate. It's a very comfortable position to be in, knowing that your team's outcome is not going to change, even if you do have a rail down on course. Looks like one is going to fall at fence 7. Zone 7 is only going to have the 5 penalties from round 1 of team competition to add to their score. Coming into this event, they were leading on 5.79. They are now on 10.79. That will be their final score for the team competition. Kaylee going to finish on the 4 there. Of course, does not affect her team score whatsoever. Just an extra rail to carry on through individual competition. So Zone 7 claims the lead at this point in competition. Only 2 zones have completed all of their riders, though, so still more to come. Sitting in a very promising position, though. Amy Krebs next to jump her own 8-year-old Jabantos, Dutch Warmblood gelding, competing for Zone 4. Rode to a fault-free effort in that first round of team competition. So still on the clear for Amy Krebs. Zone 4 with a 0 fault total in this round 1. They've already got 2 scores on 4, though, so one of those will have to count. If Amy can keep her score on the clear, they will finish on just 4 faults, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case today. Rolling out the first L. Recorded a clear round in the first round of team competition. Helped her Zone 10 team record a 0 overall score in that round. This round not looking quite so good, facing 1 elimination and 1 4-fault score. So carrying that 4 faults forward. And if Leela can jump another clear round, she can keep it to just 4. But still unable to catch current leaders. Zone 7 on 10.79 penalties. That is out of reach, unfortunately, for this team. But could potentially find themselves in that silver medal position. Leela sails the last. 74.52 at the time on that clear round effort. So it is just going to be the 4 in total for team competition for Zone 10 to add to the 8.32 penalties. It's a total of 12.32 penalties. So they'll sit in 3rd at this moment. Just 1 more to go. Zone 10 looking at a best possible finish of silver medal, but it all depends on how this rider performs. All the pressure now on Addie Wingett for Zone 3, competing for the team from Zones 1, 3, and 6. They came in on 7.04 penalties. They now have 2 riders on 4 faults, 1 on the clear, so one of those 4 faults is going to have to count. If she can keep it to the clear, they will finish on 11.04 penalties. Very narrowly take that silver medal. Gold medal, of course, already guaranteed to those Zone 7 competitors. If she has 1 rail down, she will be pushed to the bronze medal position. She could have 1 time fault and still stay ahead of Zone 10. But she seems to be on a bit of pace here. Time fault does not look likely. You can see the team members standing up on the hill, anxiously watching this last pair to go. Such a close competition. 1 from home. She can keep it clear. She gets the silver medal for her team, and she gets the job done, performs so well under pressure there. Silver medal team effort for Zones 1, 3, and 6. They're going to finish on a score of 4 in that second round, 4 combined for team competition as well, so the total is just going to be 11.04. And that brings to a close team competition. So we have Zone 7 earning the gold medal, 10.79 penalties overall. Zones 1, 3, and 6 claim that silver medal that we just saw finish up there. Zone 10 is going to claim the bronze medal on 12.32 penalties. Competition here is not over for these pre-juniors. They get 1 day off tomorrow. Then they come back for individual competition. Leela Diab still sits in the lead on 3 clear rounds, total score of 0. So she sits in a very promising position for that individual final. But it is Zone 7 taking that gold medal to top the podium here today. Very exciting team competition, well earned by these athletes. Incredible performance by both horses and riders. So we will give these horses and riders some time to get their medals, get their horses dressed, and stay tuned for that podium celebration. Still to come, juniors and young rider, first individual qualifier, first team event. That will be coming up shortly, so join us for all of it.
cut the wing. We'll just cut a hole.
And our top routines is the same thing as just outside of the ring and casino international. And it will be presenting for our three medals.
Which one we need? The front of the auto. So don't change that. And if that same way, right?
bronze medalists to take their place on the podium first. The presentation as a team from Zone 10, Amanda Paul, Cameron Trevino, and Layla Diab, bronze medalists in this year's North American Youth Jumping Championship and our
Next up, our silver medalists, and those riders representing zones 1, 3, and 6. Campbell L. Hudkins, Taylor Landstrom, Riley McKesson, and Addie Wingate. The 4 riders from the team representing zones 1, 3, and 6, collectively silver medalists in our team competition of this year's North American Youth Jumping Championships. And our gold medalists for this year's pre-junior team competition, that group from Zone 7, a 10.79 score throughout all 3 rounds of team competition for Campbell Brown, Ava Lee, Avery Griffin, and Kaylee Rayner on their way to Team Gold. Congratulations again to all of our medalists here in the team competition and our pre-junior division at this year's North American Youth Jumping Championships. Those bronze medalists from Zone 10, Emelina Dominic, Amanda Paul, Cameron Tremino, and Layla Diab. The group from Zones 1, 3, and 6 claiming silver, Campbell L. Hudkins, Taylor Landstrom, Riley McKesson, and Addie Wingate. And the gold going to Zone 7 with Campbell Brown, Ava Lee, Avery Griffin, and Kaylee Rayner. Our riders on the podium, if you would please turn and face the flag and the video board for the Star Spangled Banner. One last photo op there for our medalists before remounting. And we ask that those 3 medal winning teams all head back over to the mount to remount for our victory lap here to conclude our presentation for our medalists in the pre-junior division for the team competition at the North American Youth Jumping Championships. Again, the goal going to Zone 7 with Campbell Brown, Ava Lee, Avery Griffin, and Kaylee Rayner. Zones 1, 3, and 6 taking the silver with Campbell L. Hudkins, Taylor Landstrom, Riley McKesson, and Addie Wingate. In Zone 10 with the bronze, Emmeline Adamic, Amanda Paul, Cameron Tremino, and Layla Diab. Layla Diab, the only rider penalty-free on a score of 0 through the first 3 rounds here for this pre-junior group, as she was the winner in yesterday's competition. 2 clear rounds today as well. So Layla, the only one on 0, headed into that final day of competition for our pre-junior riders.
¿Qué tú haces? Creo que...
Zone 7 leading us on a victory lap. Team gold here for the pre-junior division of this year's North American Youth Jumping Championships. Campbell Brown, Ava Lee, Avery Griffin, and Kaylee Rayner all taking gold for Zone 7. And for silver, it's Zones 1, 3, and 6 with Campbell L. Hudkins, Taylor Landstrom, Riley McKesson, and Addie Wingate. And bronze going to Zone 10 with Emmeline Adamic, Amanda Paul, Cameron Tremino, and Layla Diaz.
Esto que me dijeron que te llena esto. ¿Tienes otra dos, maní? FEI. Yo me iba así a la pasatoria. Tú lo arreglas y así. Eso más copa. Miguelillo, yo creo que los otros palos son aquellos. Sí. know my people. Blancos arriba, ya. Let's go.
Just under 15 minutes away from the first on course and our first individual qualifying round for the junior jumpers at this year's North American Youth Championships. Just under 15 minutes away, 2:40 for the first horse on course.
Through the turn, and then just hold your body for the foot rail, okay?
Same thing, no space for the front rail, like I got vertical.
Too far in.
Eyes up there, okay?
Looking for the top of the order on course in 10 minutes. 10-minute call for the top of the order. And a heads up for all of our riders, trainers, chefs. We will start at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning here in the Turtle Creek Casino and Hotel International Ring. 8 o'clock start tomorrow morning here in the Turtle Creek Casino and Hotel International Ring. And we're just under 10 minutes away from the top of the order and our first individual qualifying round for our junior jumpers at this year's North American Youth Championships. Please begin wrapping up your walks and clearing the course. Top of the order on at 2:40. We need our first in the ring at 2:40 for the juniors, correction, and our first individual qualifying round, sponsored by Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. 2:40 for the first on course. That's 5 minutes away. Please begin wrapping up those walks and clearing the ring.
Time is 2:40. We are looking for that first rider on course in the first individual qualifying round for the juniors. That is your North American Youth Jumping Championship. The order goes from the drum, and the vaults will be converted here in the first individual qualifying round for the junior jumpers. Top 6 are riding the ribbons. Ribbons placed in 10th, money to 12, and places will be converted to The best of 3 athletes today will carry forward towards their team sportsman bronze team competition. All teams will start with points for tomorrow's TV. There you want to show this first individual qualifier. And our course design team This will be our first rider to show in today's individual qualifier for the junior riders in the North American Youth Jumping Championships with Stella Wasserman out of the level 10 with Eldorado WEC.
Well, good afternoon. Joining you again here from Traverse City, Michigan for day 2 of the Gotham North FEI North American Youth Jumping Championships presented by USHJA. About to get underway with the first individual qualifier for the junior level of competition. This is the first outing for these young athletes. We have 35 over a table C faults converted format. So rails down on course will just translate to 4 extra seconds on their time. So it's all about jumping quickly, ideally clear, but as quick as they can today. Kicking us off is for the home nation Zone 10 rider Stella Wasserman, El Dorado WPZ, her ride. Stella, based out of California, aboard the 10-year-old Zangerscheid Gelding by El Dorado. It's a bit of an impressive ride for her. They've been really moving up the levels, jumping up to the 2-star level, just going from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Going really nicely in some 2-star competitions. Stella brought this horse to the 2-star Grand Prix here at Traverse City back in July. They just picked up 5 penalties. It had them in 24th position, but, you know, just 4 down, 4 for jumping and 1 for time. It was a really good performance. They also jumped the 2 stars in Thermal and the under-25 classes in Wellington. This horse is a former ride of Jerome Gueri as well, up to 5-star level, so certainly got all the capability to get around this track. Just a couple more fences to go now for her, as we have 12 obstacles here containing 15 jumping efforts, so 3 double combinations here this afternoon.
Well, the first round out of the gate is clear, nothing to add for time, 71.24 the first time. Impressive round from Stella Wasserman, setting herself up for a great week of competition here. Of course, these junior athletes will gear up for team competition taking place tomorrow. We have nations including the United States, several zones within there. We have Canada, we have Guatemala. I believe Guatemalans are competing individually, and we have an individual for Mexico. So quite a bit of diversity here. Stella Wasserman kicking off that starting order. Tessa Downey joins us next. She hails from Zone 7 of the United States. She's riding Isabel. This is a 13-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare by Geppetto for Horse Orchard LLC. Already a successful summer here for Tessa here in Traverse City. Looking to build upon her success by hopefully taking home a medal this year at NAYC.
Yeah, Tessa training with Peter Pletcher, and it's great to see so many top names on the trainers lists with some of these young riders as well. It's such a fantastic opportunity for them to be competing at these FEI North American Youth Championships, an event that they've been preparing for weeks, months, and no doubt years as well. As Tori was saying, it is run a bit like a speed class, this competition, so really the faster the better. They have seconds added for fences down, and then after this competition their times will be converted into points, so the times will be times by 0.5 and then rounded, and that will be converted into points. So the person who is fastest in this competition will be on 0 points, and then the difference between their score and the following scores will be given sort of differential points, and that's how this round will be started. And then, as you say, we have the 2 rounds in the team competition. So first round here, and those individual competitors coming forward, as well as the individuals compete across all rounds to get through to the individual final, one of the pinnacles of the week on Sunday.
On her way to what might be another clear round, and it looks like it's just not going to be today. She's going to pull that last rail, but a very quick time. Looks like her time of 66.87 with 4 seconds to add still takes over the lead. That's where a bit of risk taking can kind of pay off. If you are quick enough across the ground, you might just still end up on top with 1 rail down, as is the case with Tessa Downey. So she takes over the lead. That puts Stella Wasserman into second at this point. Still only 2 have gone though. Third in the order for USA Zone 4, Mia Albello. She's aboard MAHS Cardenta. This is an Irish sport horse mare, just 9 years old. Mia is the owner and rider. So it really looks like it's shaping up to be a competitive event out there. They're really all going for it. We might see a few more rails down, but I think we'll also continue to see those really fast rounds here today.
Yeah, 100%. These young riders often do really go for it across the ground, really go for it against the clock as well. Mia is the reigning pre-juniors individual champion from 2021. That was with the horse Coco Minka EST. Quite incredibly, she led through all 5 rounds in that competition and didn't pick up a single fault. She is pretty fast here today. She's also the reigning champion team for Zone 4, with 3 clear rounds for them as well. So super successful last year, and no doubt she'll be hoping to replicate that success again here in this 2022 running. Horse has got plenty of scope though.
Definitely off to the races here today. This looks like a very quick horse, and the record just proves to show that. Quite a few individual gold medals at the USHJA Zone Jumper Championship, so very comfortable with the championship format, looks very determined to do well here today, and she has done just that. 67.08 seconds on the clock. Clear round, so nothing to add. She definitely fought for that the whole way around.
She really did. I think at some points she was a little faster than she anticipated, but wraps her arms around the horse's neck. She looks absolutely thrilled with that, and as you say, she was so successful last year. Certainly one to watch.
Oh, it's great to see these partnerships developed over such a long time. It's horses and riders, just some of them just know each other so well, and it's great to see those efforts come to fruition. So another pair for Zone 10. This is Skylar Wireman. She's aboard Karen for MKT Investments LLC. Karen, a 10-year-old mare, Hanoverian mare by Levistano, for the rider based out of California. Very impressive equitation career on this young rider, but she's also beginning to dabble in the show jumpers quite successfully, I would say.
Yeah, I've been competing at the junior level for a little while now, and also competed at this championships as a junior last year. She was a little way down the running then, 47th, but that was with a different horse. That was with Chitoki, who was a horse, but this horse, Karen, was started off by the Lazur family in the Netherlands. Takes a very good inside turn inside those sort of silver birch style markers in the middle of the arena, and actually they're placed in quite a clever position because it really affects the rider's turns from the double at 4 then back to the brown coloured oxer at 5. Also their turn then from 9 to the double at 10 as well. Quite a strategic placing of those. Here's where we see, yeah, just going outside that marker there. It would be quite tight to turn inside, I think.
So she's got 1 rail down on course so far. Skylar, just an incredible competitor, won her first Grand Prix this year. Already on to so much success in all 3 rings. That was a very fast round, 65.26 on the clock. 1 knockdown, unfortunately, to add to that. So 69.26 becomes her final time. That puts her into second place. Mia Albello still leads the way on 67.08 with Skylar Wireman's very quick round. Her risk pays off, and she has secured herself second place at this point.
Makes Mia Albello's time look really pretty quick.
She's going to be very tough to unseat, but we might just see it done in these 35 entries. Only a handful have gone. Up next, individual competitor Ana Cristina Rodriguez for Guatemala. Aboard Ferdita for Juan Andres Rodriguez Silva. It's a 12-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare by Cardento. For the individual competitor, one of two individuals competing for Guatemala. Looks like a bit of a bigger, rather slower moving horse, but still guiding this horse around quite efficiently. I think when you have a bigger stride to work with, you can't rely on natural foot speed quite as much, so you have to take a few more risks in some of those turns. But coming off great success this year at the Winter Equestrian Festival. Not her first time here at the North American Youth Championships, represented Guatemala for the first time last year here in Traverse City.
Yeah, she rode VDL Empire in the junior competition at these championships last year, was on the 8th place team. In 2018, she was also on the 5th place team and 17th individually at North Salem at the North American Youth Championships in the children's category. That, though, was with the horse Efrida. She's got a good few good horses to ride at the moment.
Well, and a good time there. Clear round, nothing to add. 73.89 for Ana Cristina Rodriguez. A lot to be proud of there. There are quite a few days of jumping to come, so setting themselves up nicely for a successful week here at the North American Youth Championships. For Canada, first rider to see for the nation of Canada. They took the gold medal in the children's team competition earlier today. But in the juniors, this is Quinten Werner Baumler. She's aboard Hayden, 10-year-old Dutch warm-blood gelding by Zambezi for the Canadian rider.
Yeah, really nice breeding. Zambezi, quite known for speed and stamps the horses quite a lot. I think you can see this breeding in this horse.
Bit unfortunate there, just a refusal at the double of verticals there next to the VIP pavilion. So give our ring crew just a minute to reassemble that. They can try it a second time. Correction, this is actually Ava K. Myers for the United States Zone 7 and Chico P, but unfortunately Ava not having a great day here today. Second refusal results in elimination in this first individual qualifier. But being a part of a team, she will still come forward and jump tomorrow for her team.
Yeah, of course this competition is crucial not only for the teams but also for the individuals. So we have this speed style class for the teams, followed by competitions run over table A. That's how it will work for the teams. But in terms of the individuals, they do need to be competing in all rounds. It's quite a long week of competition. It really tests all sorts of different skills for these riders for the individual placings.
Yeah, they really work their way to the top based off of consistency. The most consistent rounds over the few days get well rewarded, especially as the jumps get higher and higher. The clear rounds are less frequent. Now we are on to Canada with Quinten Werner Baumler aboard Hayden. It's a very successful day so far for Canada. They only had a team in the children's division, but they emerged victorious, taking that gold medal. So looking to build upon that success for the Canadian equestrian team. Several athletes to come forth in this class, 4 to be specific, for Canada.
Yeah, great performance for the children's team for Canada. They were in a jump off for the gold medal position and really absolutely pulled it out of the bag when it mattered. Their 4 riders really working well together as a team to seal that result. Really getting some pace up here. A little bit too pacey perhaps, and so just doesn't quite get the height over the front rail with the back legs at fence 9. Quinten Werner Baumler is also a rider who has competed here last year in the pre-juniors category for team 6th for Canada. That though was with the horse Harissa Z Haydn, a new ride for him. 2 down, sadly.
So time was 73.12 with the 8 faults to add. Adds 8 seconds, becomes 81.12 for Quinton. So Ella Kraut next to go in this junior first individual qualifier. She rides for Zone 2 of the United States aboard Nakia. Just a 9-year-old, this Dutch warm blood mare by Action Breaker.
9-year-old who's done really well considering her young age. It's a mare previously ridden by Sasha de Wit of the Netherlands, and this horse has jumped 4 out of 5 rounds clear internationally in its career so far. It was also 9th in the $25,000 Grand Prix of Princeton, the 1m35 competition back in July. Ella trained by Stephen Blumen, who I'm sure will have given her some sound advice for this speed competition. She gets a bit of a straighter run up to this first double combination, which I think is what's needed here.
Quite a gutsy inside turn there. Unfortunately, not going to be the best choice for her and her partner. That's where risk and reward really plays a big role in these types of classes. You really have to take significant risk to find yourself up there at the top, but sometimes if you can execute it just right, it rewards you, and sometimes it's just not the day to really nail a turn like that.
Yeah, and it was interesting that she did take quite a considerably straighter approach into the double compared to some of our other competitors, but then opted for that inside turn. And again, I think we're going to see this be quite an influential part of the course, because that arena decoration is really placed in such a clever spot to make them really consider whether they want to try that inside turn or not.
Yeah, that decoration is very strategic. There are 2 inside turn options there, but both of them become extremely tight if you opt to take them. So it might improve your time a little bit, but as we just saw, it could end up being very costly with a refusal there.
Ella joined on that Zone 2 team by Stephanie Garrett, Bailey McKeever and Corinne Swinney. First rider for them.
Zone 2 always very well represented at these North American Youth Championships, this year being no exception. There's a couple more rails falling on her way to finishing her round. So time is 87:36. Gonna add 8 to that. Total is gonna be 95.36.
Yeah, it could be quite costly for Zone 2 team there. But they do have some talented combinations still to come, and of course they do have a drop score if they have 4 riders.
Yeah, the top 3 scores moving forward into tomorrow's team competition, as we were saying earlier. So these riders are not only competing for themselves, they are competing for that ultimate placing that could decide those team medals. It becomes very close, as we just saw in the pre-junior division. I think this will be no exception. So Della White and Giggs are next to go. Della competing for USA Zone 10 on the west coast of the United States aboard the 11-year-old Dutch warm blood stallion by Wizard.
Della was quite a consistent children's international competitor. She goes inside here as well. Good in the children's categories internationally with her previous horse, Quevedo. This horse, though, was previously with Karima Perez Nunez, who competed this horse right the way up to 4-star level. Some fantastic horsepower in this competition. Really exciting to see some of the more experienced horses partnered by the young riders, and I'm sure will give them a lot of confidence coming into a competition like this.
This is an extremely fast round. We have not seen her let up on the gas yet once. If she can keep it clear, she would not have anything to add. She's taken some really bold inside turns. She finishes up on the clear, and what a time, 62:46 on the clock. Della White secures that top position. We've seen approximately 10 so far.
fantastic performance and nearly 5 seconds faster than Mia Albello, who we thought looked really pretty quick. And actually, really, when you were watching Mia's round, she looked like she was in more of a hurry, whereas I think Della had more of a consistent rhythm and really kept up the pace, taking a couple of wider lines but just keeping that pace going.
Yeah, she really crafted that so perfectly. It was just so well ridden, very well deserved. Top spot to be in right now, but there are still about 25 competitors left to come. First of those, Ella Duffy in the ring now, competing for USA Zone 4. This is Vajra Dublé. Ella with the ride for Crooks show jumping on the 13-year-old Celle Francais gelding by Diamant de Semely.
Yeah, again, some really great breeding. We have a good few horses with some exciting breeding. We've got a Darko horse coming, one coming up with Manuel Greenberg, who is Kanan and Darko, Kashmir van Schutershoff on another horse that's breeding in this class as well. It's definitely something to look out for here. Ella Duffy's ride, though, Vajra Dublé, is a former ride of James Brennan and Emma Stoker being of Great Britain, who's well known for having started off some very exciting horses that go right the way up to the top level. Arena UK Winston is one of her former chargers, who now goes up to 5-star level. She had 6 top 10 placings at 2-star level and 3-star level, this horse, with James Brennan, including 2 wins over fences of 1.40 meter in height. These, though, are also 1.40 meter, so some success over fences of this height already.
Ella Duffy spending time training with the USA's Sloane Coles, her Operation Spring Ledge. Just gonna have one down on her way to the final jump. So 4 seconds to add there. The time was 74.23 with the 4 seconds, 78.23. So takes over 7th place. Another competitor for Canada up next, Ava Wong, Damam OL, the ride for Highland Farms aboard the 14-year-old Dutch Warmblood by Cardento. Not the first we've seen here today by Cardento. I think this is the 3rd, actually, in that starting order. This is just the 11th we've seen so far.
Ava Wong, another competitor who's been really successful at the FEI North American Youth Championships in the past. She competed at the 2018 running of the championships in North Salem in the children's category for individual 6th with the horse Consello. Then she competed in 2019 in the Children's International Classics competition. That was in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. She was individual 12th there with the horse Crystal. This, though, is a horse that she's been going really well with in some very top level competitions as well. She jumped the Junior Nations Cup in Vancouver with Damam, just for a fence down in the 2 rounds, but only the 1 in those 2 rounds. So again, pretty consistent. Also 4th in a 2-star jump-off class in Vancouver in May as well.
Ava and this horse, very successful at the Thunderbird Show Park, out on the west coast of Canada, near Vancouver. Winner of the $15,000 U25 Marble Hill Grand Prix in 2021. That Marble Hill series, very prominent there for Canadian riders under the age of 25. They enjoy having that division out there on the west coast. Some very prominent Canadian riders have won those classes before, Ava being no exception to that. So just one down, 72.99 at the time, so that converts to 76.99 for the Canadian. Addison Reed joins us next from the United States Zone 3, which is the ride for Gail Thompson aboard Doirin Cloverboy, 12-year-old Irish sport horse gelding by Cicero Zed. Already a Grand Prix winner in 2022, Addison is also winner of the 2022 Keswick Jumper Classic. 2-time winner of the Bryan Trophy as well. Very successful rider. Took top placings in those USHJA Zone Jumper Team Championships. Those championships providing an excellent foundation for riders who hope to continue to make it onto teams in the future. including teams for the North American Youth Championships and beyond.
Yeah, this is the third time that Addison has been on a team at these North American Youth Championships. She was on the children's team in 2018 for team second and individual 21st with the horse Cassandra Z. Also last year she was on the junior team for team 7th and a little way down the rankings individually, but team 7th with Goliath.
Really fighting hard for this clear round at the moment. Horse carries himself slightly lower than some that we've seen, but she's really making the most of this.
Horse ridden in the past as a young horse by Trevor Breen as well, and earlier than that by David Simpson of Ireland.
All came together quite well for her. 71.20 seconds for Addison Reed. Nothing to add there, so she takes over 5th place. Lola Head for Zone 7 of the United States up next aboard Adelita. This is an 11-year-old mare by Accord. By Candillo, rather, out of an Accord mare.
Yeah, an 11-year-old mare who has already had some success. A fairly new ride for Lola in international competition. This was a previous ride of Lily Keenan of the USA, who rode it to 5-star competitions in Wellington back in February 2021. They had 2 top 10 placings, including a win in a 5-star two-phase competition. So again, this is a pretty experienced horse who has been ridden up to 3-star by Andreas Nippling of Germany as well. So plenty of miles on the clock, and it's nice to see Lola just forming a strong partnership with this horse.
Of course, Lily Keenan representing the United States at the World Equestrian Games currently in Denmark. Many of these riders hoping to make it to that level as well. This an excellent starting point for them. Lola already a winner at meter 40 competition, won the meter 40 stake in the spring at Tryon, also placed second in the U25 Grand Prix at the Pin Oak Charity Horse Show. Also putting in a clear round here today, 68.07 at the time on the clock. That's going to take over 3rd place, just about a second behind Mia Albello. Della White still holds that lead by quite a margin, 62.46 that time set by that Zone 10 rider. It's going to take quite a bit to catch that, but we do have quite a few entries to come, so definitely not impossible. Stephanie Garrett for Zone 2 up next. Darius de Kazeg Zed, the ride for Postage Stamp Farm LLC. She's aboard the 11-year-old Zangerscheid gelding by Darko.
Another super well-bred horse by Darko out of a Heartbreaker mare. And another one with whom Stephanie's had quite a bit of success. This pair have been really good already. But again, you know, a rider who's had successes and a horse as well. And again, they're just building their partnership, getting the miles on the clock as a pair. Stephanie was 3rd in the Children's Grand Prix in Wellington in 2020 and also was 1st in the Children's Table A competition there as well with the horse Ella Tina. This horse came from Richard Vogel but was also previously ridden by Dennis Lynch of Ireland. Dennis, of course, a multiple championship winner. And David Will, not quite going the way that Stephanie would like here. Again, she's gone for that inside turn. It's just not quite worked for her.
That Oxer at fence 5 is certainly sent there intentionally by the course designer to pose a bit of a challenge. I think they're all, the ones that have had trouble with it, have opted for it, that inside turn, riding a bit diagonally across it, and just not quite getting there on the approach that is required.
Yeah, I think coming off that tighter turn, the fence can look really quite imposing on the angle. It looks much more doable straight on, but this is a speed class, so as we were saying, they have to go for it, they have to take some risk.
Well, the added advantage to this format of a class is you're not actually penalized with faults for the refusal. So if you can kind of boogie through the rest of the course, you potentially could still come up with a fairly quick time. Stephanie Garrett not going to be the quickest, 87 seconds on the clock.
I think the other thing as well with this format is that not only is it a speed class and there are seconds added for rails down, but also it's once the results have been calculated, once their points from this round have been calculated, it's a differential score. So actually really you're looking at how fast and how well you've done in relation to the other competitors. Della White absolutely still out in front by quite a long way though.
Quite a long way indeed. We're going to see some riders try to catch her. We'll see if anybody is successful. Up next for Zone 8 of the United States, Emmanuel Greenberg rides Montclair Van Overis for Stud Farm Bergehove on the 10-year-old Belgian warm-blood stallion by Cannon.
Yeah, Cannon and Darko breeding on the dam side for this horse. She competed here last year in the North American Youth Championships with H.H. Zipper. That was also in the junior category. This horse again, pretty experienced. She jumped this up to 3-star level. Now she manages the turn, no refusal there, but just doesn't quite get the distance over the back rail.
Quite a bit of success for her both nationally and internationally. Took third place in a U25 Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. Also top 20 placing at Prix d'Estates at the Pennsylvania National Horse Show. Also competed, like you said, up to the 3-star level at Spruce Meadows. It's top contender across North America. Looks like the last goes as well. Perhaps it stays intact. 67.8, just the 4 to add, 71.8. Can't quite tell if that last rail fell, but looks like it might have stayed up. Another competitor for the United States, Caroline Nadalin, competing for Zone 5. Caroline rides El Clasico, her own 13-year-old Dutch warm-blood gelding by Kashmir Ivana Schutterhoff.
Both Caroline and Emmanuel are the first riders of 2 teams who have just 3 riders as well. So Emmanuel on the team for zones 1 and 8, just 2 other riders on the team with them, and then again Caroline on the team for zone 5 who have just 3 riders again.
Puts them in a very difficult position. However, still not impossible to be the ones who end up on top. It just means that they do not have a drop score, so every fault counts, but does not mean that they can't still come out and have an incredible performance. It just puts a little bit of added pressure on, knowing that any mistake you make is going to have to count.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Caroline's also not a rider who is any stranger to this format. She was on the 3rd place team in the junior category in last year's championships. Then she was on a team that comprised zones 5 and 6. She was also individual 17th. That performance was with this very same horse. She jumped a double clear in the team final as well last year.
Another top equitation rider. I think we can say that about a lot of these athletes that are coming forward today. Very impressive equitation careers, serving them well up in these upper levels of show jumping. Also prepares them well in that they've jumped these equitation finals, which provide quite a bit of pressure. That is a bit of a pressure cooker in most of those situations. These riders learning how to handle that pressure and perform their best regardless. So a clear round there for Caroline, 73.08 the time on the clock. Finds herself a spot in the top 10 at this point.
Quite a lot of cheers going up from the crowd for that one. Plenty of supporters for Zone 5.
These championships offering a very wonderful team experience. All of the team members up cheering on their fellow team members. bit of a different format than what they're typically used to. Up next for Zone 10, which brought a very large contingent here to Traverse City from the West Coast, Mackenzie Damas and Charlie Brown. This is the ride aboard the 10-year-old Oldenburg Gelding by Calido.
Yeah, lots of competitors from Zone 10. Zone 10 also going well in the children's competition as well earlier on today. Mackenzie's horse, though, Charlie Brown 335, was previously with Marcel Alexander Kettnacker of Germany. It was back in 2019 was this horse's last international start in the 1-star and young horse classes, so been doing a good few national competitions lately, but nice to see them back on the international stage.
Another very successful competitor in the equitation, top 10 in the jumping seat finals in 2020, also top 15 in USET finals in 2021. Each of those equitation medals testing something different. There's a few rails coming down on course here towards the latter half. Gonna have several to add there, 12 in total. So 12 seconds go on top of that score. Becomes 81.56 seconds on the clock for Mackenzie and Charlie Brown. Haley Royce next to go for USA Zone 4, which is the ride aboard Sonic Boom for Double Clear LLC, aboard the 10-year-old Swedish Warmblood Gelding.
Zone 4 also extremely strong, very good in the both the children's and the juniors category historically. In fact, Haley was on the gold medal winning team for the juniors last year with this very same horse. For USA Zone 4 once again. She was team 5th on the children's team in 2017, but yeah, on the reigning gold medal winning team. She's jumped 5 international clear rounds with Sonic Boom across 2-star and under 25 competitions. They were also 11th in the 2-star Grand Prix here in Traverse City in July. Just had that one fence down.
Another pair to be super successful in those USHJA Zone Jumper Platinum Team Championships. Those are set at meter 40 to meter 45. She took home team gold and individual silver in 2021 when she competed in those. Of course, those are only with your own zone plus one other. Gives a little bit of a kick out there, unfortunately. Gonna bring down that NetJets Oxer. So she has plenty of experience on teams and at the championship level.
Yeah, that was a real shame at the NetJets Oxer. I think she just saw a little bit of a long stride and the horse just kicking out just to try and get that distance, but didn't quite pay off.
It's been competing up to the 2-star level here in Traverse City so far during this Great Lakes Equestrian Festival. It just doesn't quite make the spread across that final Oxer either. So 2 rails down, 8 seconds to add, 76.49 their final time. Della White still holds that lead very impressively, 62.46 seconds. No one has come close to that.
It's really quite difficult at this stage to say how the team standings will be looking as well, because I mean, we've had 3 riders complete now for Zone 4, but 2 riders for many of the other teams. But of course, what we're looking at the moment is their times, and the crucial thing will be their differential scores.
So Ana Sofia Rodriguez competes next for Guatemala, competing as an individual. H5 Acavaro, the ride for H5 Sport Horses LLC. It's a 16-year-old Oldenburg Gelding by Acadetto.
Ana Sofia Rodriguez, the sole representative for Guatemala in this competition, riding as an individual. Last year the team were 8th, and she was individual 28th with VDL Empire in the junior category.
Of course, the H5 sport horses very successful all the way up to the highest level, competing with international athletes, including Eduardo Menezes and Carlos Hank Guerrero, just to name a few.
She takes a couple of the more outside turns around this arena decoration, but again keeps the pace up quite well, so her time's looking pretty good at the minute.
Well, she keeps all the rails up, 73.73 the time on the clock. Finds a spot in the top 10. Seen just about 20 in the order so far of the starting 35 in the speed round. Della White still holds that lead with Mia Albello in second, Lola Head in third. When we turn our attention to Dakota Champy for the United States, up next for Zone 2, competing as an individual. She's aboard Estorina for MDHT Equestrian LLC. Estorina, a 13-year-old Dutch warmblood mare by Indoctro.
Dakota Champy competing here, as you say, for Zone 2, but as an individual. She was individual 8th and on the second place team in the children's category in 2021, now steps up to this junior category, which is quite a different proposition. Last year she competed with the horse Baroness Minka M, but now brings this horse who's been experienced up to 2-star level in the past with Irish rider Jack O'Donoghue forward in this competition. Fence 5 potentially been the most influential point on the course so far, I'd say.
It's definitely caused the most severe issues on the track. We've seen a couple of rails down across this course, but we've really only seen refusals at that one spot. As you can see, Dakota donning her fancy braids for Team Spirit. You see a little bit more decoration and Team Spirit on this occasion than most championships.
Yeah, there were a good few of the children's competitors who had some pretty bold ribbon choices in the mains as well. Nice to see them getting into the spirit of things.
They definitely have a lot of fun together, all competing on teams and cheering each other on. Dakota Champy with the one rail down, 74.87, the final time for that rider.
70.87, that's 72-12 with that knockdown. That was the call converted. Call 74.87 there.
Zone 2 also have a team here, but Dakota competing as an individual. The Zone 2 team represented by Ella Kraut, Stephanie Garrett, Bailey McKeever and Corinne Swinney. They just have 2 riders yet to come in this competition. There's the current standings though. 62.46, Della White still right at the top of things, a good way in front of her nearest rival.
Yeah, she's really set the bar kind of at a new level. She's so far ahead and really didn't look like she was running around this course. She just rode it so strategically. That horse seems to have a great deal of foot speed, but we still do have roughly 13 entries left to see in the starting order. There's several nations still to come. So another rider for Canada up next, Olivia Blaber and Mana Lonnie. She rides her own 11-year-old gelding for Canada.
Great to see Canada so well represented in these championships. Great to see them back on the podium in some previous competitions this week. Olivia Blaber, though, great representative for them on the team for the junior category. She was on the 3rd place team in the children's category in 2019 for them. Was also individual 6th. That was with the horse Serenade de Mai, though. This 11-year-old gelding is a relatively new horse for her. Not one she's competed internationally yet.
In 2021, she claimed the reserve championship overall for the province of Ontario, the meter 40 junior amateur division. So very successful nationally in her home nation. Her horse competing up to the Grand Prix level in Canada, also U25 classes. Has competed at Canada's Royal Winter Fair in the meter 40 division there. And really Canada not too far away from where we are in northern Michigan. I know it's a very large country and many of these Canadians likely come from other parts of that country, but we are so close to the Canadian border here. We share some of that lovely summer weather that they have. I believe, not that I've been here for the winter, some of their difficult winter weather as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's quite a considerable amount of snow here in the winter from some images that I've seen, but yeah, not too far away from the Canadian border. Of course, the Major League Show Jumping Series that was here last week is then travelling to 2 Canadian legs next week and the following week.
Well, Olivia wrapping up her round. Nothing to add, 76.97 the time. And up next for Zone 3 of the United States, Alexandra Ryden. She's aboard High Five for Precision Equine LLC. High Five, 10-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding, another by Cardento.
Yeah, a good few sort of patterns in the breeding. We've got more Canaan horses, more Kashmir Van Schutershoff horses coming forward later on in our list as well. Alexandra's been jumping at Tryon and at Old Salem quite recently. Also competed very successfully at Weth as well for a good number of clear rounds. One of her top horses is Ibo Vanta Claude, and that one's been going very well as well. Former ride of Alex Matz that she has now taken on. High Five though, this 10-year-old gelding that she brings forward here.
Well, no stranger to big stages. Certainly doesn't let the pressure get to her. She competed for Zone 3 at Prix Estates in 2021, competed in the high junior jumpers at the Devon Horse Show, so a top 25 placing at the USEF medal finals in 2021. 4th place finish as well in the North American Equitation Championship in 2021, taking place at Capital Challenge. So no stranger to those moments where you really have to perform. Unfortunately, just a rail at 10A coming down. So time becomes 75.05 seconds with the 4 seconds to add.
It's a fine line, isn't it, between whether they really go for the time, risk having the fences down, or whether they play it a little bit more safely and then send themselves further down the leaderboard, because of course, you know, Skylar Wireman, who is in 4th spot at the moment, did have the one fence down, but the speed really still keeps Skylar at the top of things in the top 5 with Karen.
Exactly. I think a lot of it comes down to how well these riders know their horses. You know, sometimes you know your horse is really game for some of these inside turns and might be able to cover the scope, but you also might be on a younger horse or one you don't know as well that you might not be so confident in pulling off some of those inside turns, especially now that we've seen several attempt the inside turn to 5, not quite get that one done. So maybe a little bit more apprehensive about really going for it, because ultimately you want to get around as clean as possible, have no refusals, which would add precious seconds to the clock. We're watching Mexico's Camila Sad Vega now, competing as an individual for her home nation of Mexico aboard Magnus Laios for Ana Vega Appleyard. It's a 10-year-old gelding for the rider from Mexico.
Yeah, she was a team bronze medal winner on the children's team in 2018, 22nd individually in that North American Youth Championships. She began jumping Magnus Laios in 2-star classes in San Miguel and in Puebla in Mexico. Generally they have a fence or 2 down, and they are sticking to that record here, but great to see the Mexican competitors represented here this week.
That seems like losing a little bit of that rideability there towards the end. Quite a lengthy course here, requires a lot of riding from start to finish, but she did do a great job recovering strong there over those last few elements. So
yeah.
12 seconds to add, 86.14 the final time.
Yeah, it is quite a long way around this course actually, and you might be wondering, whether we have a time allowed here, and in fact, because it's run as this speed format, there is no time allowed, but we do have a time limit, which is 120 seconds. So, you know, you can see that from these times, the riders are quite considerably within that time limit, as you might expect, but no time allowed, so that's why we're not adding time penalties, only adding penalties for fences knocked down.
Up next for Zone 7 of the United States, this is Laurel Walker on course aboard La Baloo, her own 10-year-old Oldenburg gelding by Luchador.
Yeah, she won an under-25 international class in Wellington in January with her horse Gatsby. La Baloo, though, a ride that's going better and better for her over recent months. She was also team 10th and individual 29th in the 2021 Junior North American Youth Championships with Gatsby as well. So a couple of good rides for her at the top level, relatively.
Also no stranger to team competition, has already stood atop many podiums, including at the USEF Prix de States. She jumped to team silver, that aboard her horse Gatsby. Also the Children's Nations Cup in 2020, team gold with another ride of hers. Also team gold and individual silver at the Zone 7 Jumper Championships. So a very successful rider at the championship level. And another clear round. That was a quick one also, taking over the third spot in 67.82. So a change there close to the top.
Great to see a rider like Laurel Walker coming forward. As you say, she's got a good few horses at the top level, so some of these riders have one, perhaps two if they're lucky horses at the top, but you know, it really shows Laurel's horsemanship to be able to partner several different horses around these tracks. It really looks like something that would stand her in very good stead for the future, because of course international riders have to ride all sorts of different horses in all sorts of different competitions.
Yeah, it really goes to show the versatility of some of these riders that can win ribbons on so many different types of rides. Well, for the USA Zone 2, Bailey McKeever next on course aboard Formidable for McLean Ward, 12-year-old Dutch warm blood mare by Carambole. Of course, the daughter of Lee McKeever, groom for the incredible Contagious, who jumped a clear round this morning in Denmark. I guess it was this afternoon in Denmark, but for us in the United States, it was this morning. Takes care of some really fabulous horses of the great McLean Wards. Bailey also training under McLean Ward, riding his horses, learning from one of the greatest to ever do it. Also former gold medalist here at the North American Youth Championships, McLean.
Yeah, it's so great for these young competitors to have the sort of mentorship of some of those top riders like McLean Ward for Bailey. Just goes a little past fence 5, but that's a line that really worked out for her. She was 18th in the under-25 Grand Prix at Wellington in March in that international competition. Just picked up 5 faults there, so you know, not really too much to add. This horse was previously with Willem Grieve, ridden up to 5-star level and defences over 1 metre 50. So you can see this horse has all the scope needed for this competition.
Yes, and excellently piloted by Bailey around this course, giving an incredible ride, still on the clear. Big week for the team at Castle Hill, with Bailey here competing at the North American Youth Championships. McLean and several of his students at the World Championships, and McLean's daughter as well competing at pony finals. So off to a great week already. Clear round for McLean, also a clear round for Bailey. Time was 67.74, and she unseats Laurel Walker as the 3rd place competitor at this point in competition. So looking at just about 10 entries remaining. First of those 10 competing for Zone 8, Oliver Close and his own Jumping Jack ZF. Jumping Jack is a 10-year-old gelding by Cannon.
Yeah, Oliver was 3rd in the Sunday Classic competition here in Traverse City back in June with Jumping Jack, but has really been going from strength to strength. And another rider who is just having more and more successes with a range of different horses. Rides for Zone 8. Zone 8, which is the team that are combining with Zone 1. Oliver, the second rider for them, alongside Emmanuel Greenberg and Amira Kataner. Emmanuel Greenberg, the rider who's already competed in this competition, completing in 71.8. So a little way down. We could do with a bit of a faster round than that from Oliver if the team are to keep in contention.
Bit of a special partnership here. This horse has actually been brought up by Oliver himself, so always great when you can reach new milestones together as a pair. They must know each other so well at this point together in their relationship, and accomplishing great things together. So only a couple rails down there. Across the finish line in 83.5 seconds with 8 seconds to add. Well, 83.5 is the final time. 75.5 was the original time.
Things looking a little bit tricky for the team covering zones 1 and 8. Only 3 riders in that team as well, so every score does count.
Another rider for Zone 10, Elisa Bros, up next with the ride aboard Tinkerbell, 12-year-old Mecklenburg mare by Choco Blue.
Elisa, the final rider for the team, but she is on the team with Della White, who of course is our leader. Stella Wasserman also on the team, came home in 71.24. Mackenzie Damas is also on their team, and that's the drop score at the moment. So again, if they're going to be in the running, we could do with a strong performance from Elisa.
Well, it's already been quite a strong performance. She is speeding through this track. Very quick rider. She actually took a recent 3-star win in a speed class at Tryon, but also lots of wins nationally at Temecula, as well as second place in a Grand Prix in Thermal, and a win in a National Grand Prix at Blenheim. So big West Coast rider, very competitive athlete. Impressive string of horses as well. This one very, very quick across the ground.
Another rider no stranger to these championships as well. She was on the 6th place team on the junior team last year.
So she's going to bring down one on her way, but that was still a very quick time. She would have been good enough for the lead if not for that rail down on the Captive One Advisors Oxer. 61.76 was the time. 65.76 becomes the new time, and that's still good enough for second by a margin of over 1 second.
Really is so impressive, but as you say, they've been successful in speed classes, so this is certainly a format that would suit them. And plenty of international top 10 placings this year since they've been partnered together, 6 in fact. And also successful over fences up to 1.45 meters, so such a shame just to clip that one pole.
Quite unfortunate. Could have been such a fast round, and really were. To still take over second is definitely an accomplishment. Still going to put them into a prime position heading into the week of competition here. Up next for the United States, representing Zone 4, Caroline Mawhinney and Stella La Vista. Stella La Vista, 14-year-old Hanoverian mare by Satisfaction. Another very quick combination, extremely accomplished. Could certainly be one to watch in these championships.
Yeah, for sure. And Caroline was also the silver medalist in the pre-junior competition last year with this very horse. They finished on only 1.46, which was their differential score from this round, but jumped clear in all the preceding rounds to that to get that overall second place. She's trained by Jessica Mendoza, who is a rider for Great Britain internationally and who was on one of the Major League show jumping teams last year. Caroline, as you say, on Zone 4. The Zone 4 team just rattles that double, but it does stay up. Luck is on her side. They've got a good performance from Mia Albello already on the board.
Oh, and just a heartbreaker at the last. Pulls that last rail down. Time was 67.45. Becomes 71.45 for Caroline and Stella La Vista. So we reach the 30th in this initial order of go. Another athlete representing Canada, William Martin. He has the ride for Teddy Vlock and Vlock Show Stables LLC aboard Ricoeur Courcelle. It's a 17-year-old Selle Francais stallion for the rider from Canada.
Yeah, the owner of this horse is the Vlock Show Stables, as you say, with Teddy Vlock there. They were individual 5th in the pre-junior competition last year. Also on the 6th place team for Canada last year as well. Ricoeur Courcelle, also a very experienced horse, 17 years old now, and quite a lot of international results on this horse's record already. Plenty of successes for them.
Always great to see when these young riders can really learn something from a horse that's truly been around the world. So many of these older horses have competed everywhere there is to compete.
I think in terms of the team results here, it's really actually going to be quite tight, because a lot of the riders who've had particularly fast times, you know, the likes of Della White, Elisa Bross, their teammates have been a little slower, and so it's kind of balancing out. I mean, Zone 2, for example, they've got an 87 to count so far from Stephanie Garrett, 67.74 from Bailey McKeever. Canada as well, they've got some similar times. In fact, very, very similar. Ava Wong picking up 76.99, Olivia Blaver in 76.97. So I don't know that we'll see a huge difference between the teams themselves. Could be all to play for in the team final competition. It's the best result of the Canadian team.
Yeah, that was very well ridden. Gets himself a spot in the top 10, 8th place to be specific, 70.25 the time for William Martin and Ricoeur Courcelle. Getting into our final 5 remaining for Zone 3 up next. This is Catherine Puglisi, an easy jumper. Catherine with the ride aboard the 13-year-old Dutch Warmblood, gelding by Carthino Zed.
Yeah, easy jumper, as you say, this 13-year-old that Catherine has had some success with already as well. She was team 7th and individual 12th in the pre-juniors previously. She was double clear in the individual final as well, which was a very, very impressive performance. Another horse that she rode was Bull Run's Revelation, with whom she did the Children's Nations Cup in Vancouver a couple of years ago. So again, she's no stranger to the big competitions and no stranger to having some really great rides actually. She's been very lucky to have a couple of very good rides. Zone 3, her team.
Yeah, no shortage of very impressive riders in this field of 36. We've seen quite some impressive rounds, a lot of impressive jumping here today. And still so much more to come. The young riders have their individual qualifier coming up next. Then tomorrow, both those divisions will jump in their team competition. So nothing to add there for Catherine Puglisi, 71.15 the time. Takes over 10th place. Well, for the United States Zone 7, we just saw Zone 7 take the gold medal in that pre-junior category. This is Carly McCutcheon up next.
Carly with MTM Unexpected has been really successful as well. They competed in 3 under-25 international competitions in Wellington in January. This horse was previously with Christoph Lansk of Germany and was successful as a young horse in the one-star competitions, now an 11-year-old. They've had some national wins up to 1 meter 40 level as well, including in Tryon back in June, going really well there.
This might actually be Corinne Sweeney for Zone 2. Looks like there's been a change up in the order.
Yeah.
So aboard Tara M for Sagamore Farms, the 11-year-old Irish sport horse mare by Louis Dom.
Yeah, a couple of riders coming out of order, actually, as you say. So Corinne Sweeney here coming forward for Zone 2. Last rider for that team. They are on 154.74 so far in terms of time, but that will be converted into points so that we have the differential score between the teams.
It's been partnered with Tara for about a year and a half. Homebred from Suzanne Mackin in Ireland, jumped up to the 2-star level before being imported to the United States for Corinne to ride. So just one rail down on course, the converted time, 76.11. Lamira Katana for Zone 1 up next. Aboard Nashville Hero for Lee Katana. It's a 9-year-old Belgian warm-blood gelding by Bamako Demuse.
Yeah, Amira was 4th in the pre-junior individual final last year. That, though, was with the horse Campino TH, but she was double clear in the 2nd individual competition. This horse was previously ridden by Gajriosa of Slovakia, and earlier by Catherine Pasmore of the USA, and by Cara Chad of Canada. This horse has been going well with Amira, though, at Saratoga and Devon lately in the national classes.
Amira, another very successful equitation rider. In 2021, took 5th place in the WEF Equitation Cup.
She's the final rider out of the 3 on the team for Zones 1 and 8. They are on that 155.3 at the moment, but tricky to say how that will relate to the other teams at this stage. They're looking quite some way ahead of Zone 10, but of course they need one more score.
Yeah, very unique way of keeping track of the scores here for this championship. You really have to fight in every round.
And as you say, it really does require quite a lot of flexibility, and requires them to have a number of different skills, not only jumping around the more technical tracks, but also jumping around the speed classes as well, just to demonstrate their versatility across the week of this competition.
Well, Amira Quintana finds herself a spot in the top 8, 69.98 the time there. No rails to add. And we arrive at our final entry on course. This is Olivia Williams. She competes for Zone 5 of the United States. She's the ride aboard Rocco Blue S. Rocco Blue, 9-year-old Dutch warm-blood gelding by VDL Zerocco Blue.
Horse that's jumped up to 2-star level and also jumped in the Youth Nations Cup competitions with Hessel Hoekstra of the Netherlands. So again, a talented rider and a talented horse, and great to see them partner together here in this championships. Riding for Zone 5, who have 3 riders as well. Caroline Nadalin, the rider who's come forward. Andrea Tauris, not come forward yet in our start list, perhaps will be jumping out of order for the team. Olivia Williams, the 3rd on our list for them.
This pair winners of the $30,000 HMI Spring Classic Grand Prix. This horse was just 8 years old on that occasion. Also showing up to the medium junior jumper levels. A lot of success on the west coast of the United States.
This is looking like a fast time as well, though. 62.46 is our fastest.
Well, it's going to be a very quick one. Going to take over the third position as the last to go. 66.83, clear round effort, so nothing to add. So they secure themselves that third place finish. But it was Della White all the way through. She went in very early in the order. She was 9th in this order of 36, and she secured that time of 62.46 that no one was able to catch. The only pair that came close, actually beat the time, but with one rail down, was Elisa Brose and Tinkerbell. She takes second place in this class. Olivia Williams, who we just saw, claims third with Iraqo Blue S. Mia Albello and MHS Cardenta, they were one of the first to go in. They claim fourth ultimately. Bailey McKeever takes fifth with Formidable. Sixth to Laurel Walker and seventh to Lola Head and Adelita. Eighth to Skylar Wireman with Karen. Amira Katana takes ninth with Nashville Hero, and William Martin for Canada rounds out the top 10 with Ricora Corsell. So there you see the results, the rest of the results displaying on your screen. We are going to be awarding these winning riders briefly, so stay tuned for those results. And coming up shortly, we have the young rider qualifier. It appears we have one more athlete to come forward for Zone 5. So those results are not solidified just yet. There is one more athlete to take a shot at this order. Andrea Tauris, the final on course. Just the ride for Pine Hollow Farm aboard Don't Touch Dubois. 13-year-old Swedish warmblood mare by Kashmir van Schuttershoff.
Andrea, the final rider for Zone 5. They, as a team, just have the 3 riders, so quite essential for Andrea to complete here and make sure that Zone 5 are completing their performance to get them through into the next round, into the team competition, which takes place tomorrow morning. This horse was with Simon McCarthy until 2021, and with Amanda Derbyshire of Great Britain prior to that. It's also jumped up to 4-star level, so another pretty experienced horse. Andrea jumping well at White Sulphur Springs, as well as a number of other competitions in the national competitions with Don't Touch Dubois, and then her other top horses 50-50 and Fenrir.
Lots of great mileage in the high junior jumpers for this pair. Very competitive across the nation, including in Wellington and Kentucky. Also lots of top placings in the medium and high junior jumper classics. So no rails to add, 75.83 the time. So not going to change those top 10 results that we showed you just a few minutes ago. The win still goes to Della White and Giggs. Very impressive win for that young rider, setting herself up very nicely for a week of competition here.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of competition as well, Zone 10 are looking very, very strong. As you say, we have the final results up on your screens again for the individual placings, but in terms of the teams, Zone 10 looking very strong, leading the way in terms of their times, and no doubt that will still be the case when that is converted as well. But do stay tuned for the start of the competition for the teams tomorrow, where we'll be confirming exactly the standings for the teams once those scores have been converted into points.
Well, competition is not over for the day. The young riders have yet to take to their first round of competition. Quite a few to see in incoming young riders competing at the meter 45 fence height. So stay tuned for that class to take place shortly after awards.
So 10 more centimeters away.
Leading the way on our left of the victory is the winning combination double white and in 62.46. That was winning time in second. Alyssa Gross with the Tinkerbell, and she finished in the 61.76 with her bumps reverted to second. And then 65.76 over to the second. Williams third with the Rumble with Esme and Alvelo fourth with the Manchester Park. And the Baby Keeper takes fifth with Vertical and sixth award. Congratulations again to our top six. Another round of applause. Noah White as she makes her way back to the game with the runner and the first individual qualifier. And Noah White will be the only rider heading into tomorrow's competition on the floor.
Ahí te vamos, ya le dieron